Good news, everyone. Something has happened that is actually good in the world, and that is journalists are being fired. And these journalists are not just any journalists, they're some of the most insufferable journalists, which is what I like to see. So Media Matters, here they are. They're not a big fan of Elon Musk. They have done some articles about it. They're saying that, Hamas is intentionally taking advantage of weak content moderation on X. And I think actually the data on content moderation seem to suggest that terrorist stuff had been taken down quicker. There's also the thing that Elon Musk was bragging about, how they removed child abuse material much faster than previously. So they're just misrepresenting what's going on, I think.
Yeah.
They're trying to push narratives that don't actually have any data to support them. It's just, well, we found an example, therefore it must be true.
Do ideologues need data?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
And, you can just have a look at their website. I'll just click on the main page. You can see that they're going after Trump. There's Trump again and Trump again. And yes, talking about Justice Alito as well. So they just target right-wingers constantly. You never see them, or at least I've never seen them, talk at all about left-wingers. They're always targeting the right. And what they do is they try and get advertisers withdrawn from any organization that is not left-wing explicitly. So they always put heat on anyone who isn't adhering to their ideology.
Who actually are they? You might be going on to this.
I will be, yes.
Okay, all right, fine.
Do I have time for a comment? I see they're talking about a right-wing echo chamber. And it's fun because, they never talk about left-wing echo chamber, and we have a lot to discuss.
Well, the funny thing is that the right's a lot more willing to talk to people they disagree with. Yeah. Left-wingers go on right-wing podcasts. The same is not true in reverse. Also, right-wingers tend to know the ideology of the left far better than vice versa. Yeah. So it's nonsense to call it an echo chamber. It's more hypocritical than hypocrisy itself. But they pride themselves on being one of the few organizations that do this sort of thing, which is even more disgusting, really. And even more disgusting than that is they also supported Hillary Clinton, which, there's no redemption for that.
That's big no-no.
Exactly. And yes, they just generally sling mud at the right. And what happened back in November of 2023 is that Elon Musk sued them. So what happened here is, according to the Associated Press, the suit claimed that Media Matters showed posts alongside neo-Nazis and white nationalists. It was trying to scare advertisers away from the platform. So it's trying to give a false impression that, this is what is on Twitter, this is what is on X, as it's now known, by showing adverts to advertisers and say, look what your adverts are appearing next to. And obviously that's dishonest. All of us use Twitter regularly. We see what posts are on there, and I don't see any of that there.
Wait a minute. They were trying to give marketing suggestions to all these organizations.
They were contacting advertisers that advertised on Twitter, saying, look at what your adverts are appearing next to.
But you would expect the worst people to give you marketing advice to be leftists who regularly talk about brand ambassadors who are just tanking sales.
Yes, but they're doing so in this sort of dishonest way, aren't they? It's not like the companies are really thinking about it. But
I've never understood that whole argument. Anyway, it's not up to the advertiser. It's not about that. Like you sell your advertising space or buy advertising space, and then it gets the algorithms or whatever put them together.
You don't think that when you see adverts on a website, necessarily the advertiser, I don't think if I see a Coca-Cola underneath a Democratic Party candidate, I don't think they're endorsing that message, do I?
Who thinks that? No one thinks that, right?
Yeah, it's a silly standard to judge people.
It's like there's a Liberal Democrat Party political broadcast on TV, say, and then the next advert is Sainsbury's or something. You don't think, Sainsbury's are too Lib Dem for me. They're in league with the Lib Dems. It's like, it doesn't make any sense, right? No one thinks that.
It's obviously an attempt to damage their ad revenue because they don't like Elon Musk because of his politics. And that's pretty much what Associated Press say of what their complaint is.
But the craziest thing, is that the actual advertisers themselves go along with that and say, I'm going to pull my advertising then.
Well, they're worried that they're going to be reported on Because what happens is if they still stay as advertising on a platform where this article's been published, then that outlet can follow up and say, well, they refuse to withdraw ads, therefore they endorse these politics, which is still a smear. It's still not honest, but they don't want to risk that to damage their reputation. But anyway, the article carries on to say, X's complaint claims that Media Matters manipulated algorithms on the platform to create images of advertisers' paid posts next to racist, incendiary content. The juxtapositions, according to the complaint, were manufactured, inorganic, and extraordinarily rare. Seems perfectly reasonable to me. But a bunch of mainstream media outlets picked up on this, and they were reporting Twitter has lost 50 of its top 100 advertisers since Elon Musk took over. And it's certainly true that they lost a lot of advertisers. But the source of this claim, that I believe it's NPR, yeah, and lots of other media outlets, I'm not going to bother listing them all because, it's the usual suspects, that comes from Media Matters themselves. That's their data there. So in recent weeks, 50 of the top 100 advertisers have either announced or seemingly stopped advertising on Twitter. So it's basically them gloating, and then the media pick up on it to target people who have wronged them ideologically, like Elon Musk.
Do they cite evidence, or is it a trust me bro source?
Well, they're talking about the actual finances and things like that. So, yeah, there are claims here as well. This is further on down the line, I believe. This is, what date is that? Oh, the 24th of November, 2023. So this is even further along down the line. They were still reporting losses from this same sort of thing. Lots of people withdrawing, Airbnb, Coca-Cola, Microsoft. And of course, this is where Elon Musk had that famous clip of saying F you to the people trying to do this.
Bob Iger, was he calling that Bob Iger? You said
in
Bob.
particular, yeah. Well, it was Bob Iger
was
because
Bob,
Disney
right.
withdrew their advertising from Twitter as well. And this also led the Attorney General in Texas to investigate Media Matters. And there was a sort of suit going on, I think. However, this is the president and CEO of Media Matters here saying Media Matters has won the lawsuit against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. And they said, we sued asking the court to bar him from proceedings. We were just granted our injunction. However, state of Missouri, their Attorney General has also sued Media Matters for the same reasons. So they're going to continue to have lots more lawsuits. This was only a month ago that this has happened. So they're going to be embroiled in lots more lawfare, I imagine, which is going to cost them a lot more money. And
Good old Missouri. Count on Missouri.
Yeah, but these sorts of suits, as well as those from Elon, have had some good results, actually. We can actually sort of defeat the left here. Bad news, I've been laid off from Media Matters along with a dozen colleagues. There's a reason far-right billionaires attack Media Matters with armies of lawyers. They know how effective our work is, and it terrifies them, in brackets him. So she's obviously on about Elon Musk here, right? It's evident. And yeah, well, they were attacking him first, right? They were trying to get advertisers withdrawn from his platform because they disagree with him politically. Yeah. So the fact that they're facing a bit of a taste of their own medicine here, in that he's taken them to court and now they can't afford to keep them, is beautiful. I love this. This is great.
Poetic
This is
justice.
reaping what you sow. Yeah. If you try and target people, try and get them to lose money, try and get them fired, and then you lose your job, well, to quote Reservoir Dogs, I've got the world's tiniest violin playing for you. And yeah, it's not just the journalists themselves claiming this. The New York Post is also reporting on it, saying Media Matters hit with sweeping layoffs after defamation suit by Elon Musk. And yes, this is true. And also that lady who was posting about being laid off, here she is. This is an article on BuzzFeed. TikToker Kat Abu, who is that lady who'd been laid off, is so happy Tucker Carlson got fired.
Okay.
And they have a real gripe with Tucker Carlson in particular, and Fox News. They would target Fox News constantly, and they tried to do the same thing with Fox, getting advertisers to withdraw and getting them wrapped up in lawsuits and doing all sorts of things to interfere with them. And they described themselves as a guerrilla group trying to target Fox. And so, this is exactly the same thing, except in reverse. And it's lovely to see. Also, there she is again. Fox News fired Tucker Carlson 1 year ago today. I'm happy to report it's been a rough year for America's squeakiest fascist.
What does that even mean?
As in, he's got a squeaky voice.
Oh, right, okay.
Bit of a weird criticism from a lady.
Hasn't really, has he?
Not especially, no. But he's also not a fascist either, so that's a bit strange too.
And her full name was Abu Ghazala or something?
Yes.
So what is she? She doesn't look like full Arab.
I don't know.
What is she, Syrian or something or other?
Perhaps. Either way, not a fan of Tucker Carlson. And here's her page, so we can sort of see what kind of work she was doing. Like 200 plus things that Fox News has labelled woke. And it's just a list of lots of things that have been infiltrated by the left, yeah. Like, they've even got something like woke capitalism, where they're talking about corporations adopting wokeness to make money. But they're not calling capitalism woke. She just misrepresents it. And Fox News again, Fox News, Tucker Carlson, right-wing media, Fox News, Sean Hannity, right-wing media with Fox News in the tab. You get the idea. They're a bit obsessed.
I've never heard of her until this moment, but she seems like a one-track record.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not journalism, is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's just partisan attack job.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I think they're registered as a charitable organisation as well. I don't know how that's possible, because it's just like, yes, our operation to influence politics is now charity for some reason. But we're not done here. She was nice enough to create a list of all of the people who have been recently fired, which gives me the names of all the journalists at Media Matters that have been laid off. And we can enjoy the fact that are now unemployed, and they're probably not going to be able to find another job, because let's be honest, if you want someone to throw excrement on a wall, many people are qualified to do that. You don't necessarily need to resort to these people. And it goes on. She's sharing all the posts of the people, but let's go to the first one here. This is a guy called Brendan Carrot. So he has a page on Media Matters, I believe. He should do. I've got it in my notes, but I'll pull it up on my end. So he's uploaded stuff like, okay, the website's loading now. This is great. Right-wing pundits lash out at Boy Scouts over rebranding to Scouting America. And he's talking about the Daily Wire a lot. He's got Ben Shapiro, also Candace Owens. Here we are. Oh.
A rapid response researcher.
I know.
What?
Low
Rapid
resolution,
response.
culture war.
So here we are.
leftism.
Here are the articles I was on about. And it's just sort of smears. There's Stephen Crowder openly flouts YouTube, lets Alex Jones host his show and promote InfoWars. So it's just trying to draw attention. They're sort of like hall monitors of politics. Like, I'm telling you, breaking the YouTube rules. And there we go. Another one about Crowder and Alex Jones. Blaze TV, Fox again. It's just partisanship, isn't it? And there's also another person, Bobby Lewis. There he is. Journalism milestone achieved, got laid off. And here he is, writer 2. I don't know what that means. But here we are. There's Trump. It's Kristi Noem, who is a governor, a Republican governor. RFK Jr., sorry. And conspiracy theories about the bridge collapse. Tulsi Gabbard, the RNC.
It's like
Nikki
all
Haley.
of them are writing the same 2-3 articles.
They are, yes.
Yeah.
There's another thing about the Trump campaign and James O'Keefe, because, by the way, James O'Keefe's actually doing real journalism, so the fact they're complaining about it, he's, going out and recording people saying stuff with, hidden cameras and getting it on film, saying, here's the proof of this thing that we suspected. They're just saying, well, right-winger did a thing I don't agree with.
That video was hilarious, where he went out allegedly on a date with someone, And then he was telling the person who showed up started telling all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was saying I tried to impress him.
So there's another one here. This is Alex Patterson. I got laid off from Media Matters today. Proud of the 5 years of intense work I put in fighting right-wing hatred. I am an incredible manager with superb research skills. Please hire me. All you do is write the same article over and over again, and you all write the same sort of thing. You whinge about Fox, Donald Trump, and other right-wing media.
And you don't like...
That's not research.
You don't write please when you try to find a job.
Mm-hmm. Please, may I have a job?
Yeah. I mean,
please,
you don't do this at an interview.
So let's have a look at some of this excellent research, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
So he's an associate research director here. Right-wing media and Trump misleadingly claimed that the DOJ altered evidence in response to new legal filings, blah, 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 blah. Media Matters calls on Meta to bolster and enforce its election-related content moderation policies. So here it is, just being, hall monitor for the internet again, trying to get social media platforms to be stricter on things that right-wingers are talking about and getting them deplatformed.
Important work.
Yeah.
It's important work. It requires a great deal of research.
Yeah, just to sort of nagging people, yeah.
We've got postgraduate degree. Well, we've all got postgraduate because you've got a bloody doctorate. We actually know what research requires, right?
Yeah.
Actual research.
I've got an MRes.
You're not doing any research.
I've got a master's in psychological research. Like, it's an actual research-focused degree, and this isn't research.
Yeah, but probably...
the only PhD at the table.
Probably they have sociology degrees or relevant degrees where they're told that basically you don't have to engage in empirical studies and empirical research. You just have to talk about, just structures and universals and systemic racism and constantly invent stuff like this. Basically, it's an excuse for not working.
Here we go. Media Matters calls on Meta to expand and enforce its policies on manipulated media ahead of the 2024 election. So, if you want to know part of the reason why social media companies are getting worse, it is organizations like this that are trying to write articles to pressure them into doing it. And of course, ultimately, the decision is the social media companies, but they're still getting, potential PR damage from weirdos like this, writing articles telling them to do unreasonable things.
I also see there, I don't know if you see it due to the camera, it says also about Speaker Mike Johnson, right-wing media figures push anti-LGBTQ bigotry. So, most probably you can get the vibe, what is going to be written on it.
Fox has a long history of tolerating anti-Semitism on its network. I mean, Fox News, which probably has some of the most, dedicated Zionists going. You're joking.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
All these poor researchers, they can, of course, always learn to code.
I've already seen one of them replying to someone saying that.
Oh, really?
Someone also told them to go down a mine. I've enjoyed that. So here's another one. Carly Evans. In Today is for Bad News. I'll be leaving Media Matters at the end of June. 2 additional notes. Say anything bad about my current or former co-workers. We are fighting. So looking forward to seeing you in the ring. If someone is in need of an internet data girl, hit me up. No.
The market's oversaturated with you morons.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So here's the data. There's Tim Pool here, just reported on his ad earnings, super chat earnings from YouTube. He earns a lot of money because he's doing good work and is successful. This is somehow news. It's like an advert for Tim Pool.
And his message resonates with people.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, he doesn't have to register as a non-profit to keep running. And even then, you're laying off people.
And just beg the internet in general for a new job. They've got Keith Woods.
Yeah, Hadith Woods over there. YouTube is monetizing and helping raise funds for Keith Woods, a white nationalist and self-described raging anti-Semite.
Raging?
He doesn't seem very angry a lot of the time. He sort of seems very monotonous and reserved almost for a commentator, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's quite level-headed from what I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, Russell Brand, the usual suspects of people that the left don't like. And we're not quite done yet because we have another one here. Oh,
I didn't see any article about Trump. That's weird.
I know, that is true.
That's news,
Oh, yeah. Well, that's only the first page.
Maybe there's going to be another one.
Mm-hmm.
down the line.
Here is another person, Ethan Collier. Unfortunately, I have been impacted by the Media Matters layoffs alongside some brilliant and inspiring colleagues. I don't
Liar. Sorry.
I'm now open to any research analyst and associate roles specifically regarding right-wing media narratives on DEI, education, and LGBTQ plus issues. I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find that, mate. My DMs are open for any leads. Work for Lotus Eaters. We cover those things. We produce the right-wing narrative. No, please don't work for us. So yes, let's have a look at what he's been up to. Right-wing media continues to reckon with unpopularity of sending abortion back to the states.
So the first
states'
5
rights
out of
is
6 are
popular.
about Trump again.
The funny thing is that the state right solution is actually the most popular solution in America, bipartisan solution. So that, by sort of research standards, that's just wrong. And I don't know whether researcher too. So yes, he is a researcher. Opinion polling would have been useful for that, perhaps. Right-wing media attacks special counsel Jack Smith, and right-wing media defends Trump's harassment of judge's daughter. It's all very partisan stuff.
It's kind of pathetic, isn't it? Imagine if you're one of the senior managers and you think, well, what I need is a team of like half a dozen or more people that are all just pumping out throwaway opinion pieces about how bad Trump is. I need 6 people doing that or 10 people doing that.
It's about quantity, not about quality.
It's not a good model. It's obviously not going to work.
Get out the message and bombard people with a message, and some will believe it.
And now we're almost through all of them. I wasn't quite done gloating by this point. Here's another person, Eric Kleefeld, talking about the excellent and talented company I'm in here. It's feeling a bit less like this. And he's got a Simpsons meme about him being targeted specifically for being fired. And here he is. He is a senior writer and rapid response.
A senior writer. Ooh.
And Fox News calls President Biden a troll.
That's news. That's newsworthy.
That's a whole article.
Let's write an article on that. I need 1,500 words on that stat.
Fox News, Washington Post. That's unusual. What's that doing in there? Murdoch, obviously the owner of Fox. Fox. Oh, misinformation has Americans depressed about the economy. What are you on about? This was, by the way, in April, when the economy was not looking good in the US. You know, prices are up. You've had what, almost 4 years of Bidenomics.
It's not inflation.
Money printing.
Yeah.
It's not misinformation. The economy is depressing the Western world over.
Yeah, Janet, the felon Yellen, is tanking your economy. Yes, that's happening. Inflation is insane. Yeah.
So it's just ridiculous stuff. Fox fearmongers about California's minimum wage increase. Well, if you increase the minimum wage, more people are going to be unemployed. California already has a homelessness problem. It's not fear-mongering, basic economics. It's not quality journalism, is it? And,
it's not journalism at all.
No. So Elon Musk, in December of 2023, I think summarized the company very well. So he says, Media Matters is an evil propaganda machine, so I'm opposed to evil propaganda machines. So we are suing them in every country where they operate.
Nice.
And we will pursue not just that organization, but anyone funding that organization, which is George Soros. It is the Clintons. It is all sorts of interesting people. You know, lots of people that we know do lots of horrible things. And if Elon Musk is going after all of them, that is a very promising thing.
Them's fighting words.
I want to be clear about that. Anyone funding that organization, Media Matters, is an evil propaganda machine. Media Matters can go to hell, and I hope they do. And it's also worth mentioning as well, this was a live Twitter thing, which had, I think, Alex Jones in somewhere. He's not there, but he was in there. Yeah. So there we go. Interesting who Musk is talking to at the minute. There's also some names in there. Jack Posobiec.
A red-headed libertarian.
She works for Tim Pool, doesn't she, I think? If I'm keeping track of stuff. But this reminds me as well of something that Stelios is going to be talking about in greater length. Just how difficult it is now to find a job when you specialize in leftist, I don't know what to call it really, mudslinging, fart huffing, lots of things you can call it.
Character assassination.
Would you like to summarize this, Stelios, as you're going to be talking about it later?
Well, there's an SJW that can't find a job because he has built his whole career so far talking about white supremacy in academia, and he is white, and at some point people told him apparently that he is white and they need to promote non-white candidates. It's people who just think that just because I virtue signal, people are not going to look at who I am. The people who are engaging in group politics and see everything in light of collectives are suddenly not going to see him as a white person just because he atones for his white guilt by saying that the whole world is white supremacist.
So I imagine many of these journalists are going to find a similar fate to this academic in that they're not really going to find anywhere to work. And I think that finally seeing consequences for their horrendous partisanship and just being unreasonable, we don't necessarily, hide the fact that we support certain people and we have certain views. However, we do concede sometimes that there are uncomfortable truths and reality is more complicated than it might need to be to get the sort of mud to land. But you don't need to go to the lengths that they are of just writing the same article over and over again. Just lawfaring people and trying to scare away advertisers. There's a way of doing things, and it's good to see that people that are really sort of pushing the boundaries of what is acceptable in a so-called civil society are finally facing some consequences. It's
good that, you mentioned them as in the same breath as sort of hall monitors in a way. Yeah, there's a certain way to act, right? Mm-hmm. You can be cheap. You can act in a cheap way, in sort of a low, underhanded, childish, mean way, right? And then you can just be a normal person, right? You can just be a man and just be normal, right? And their whole thing is obviously just like a mean, cheap thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's great what Elon said there. Can I ask you a couple of questions, though?
Sure.
Can we have a bit... Is there got any more detail on sort of who they really are? You mentioned George Soros and the Clintons. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's wrapped up with... what's his foundation called? Soros' foundation called?
Oh,
the Open Society Foundation. So it's wrapped up with that. And the Clintons who are...
Well, also, course, it was helped to be set up by a gentleman named, I think, John Podesta.
Really?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
The Podestas. So those people, some of those people anyway, the Podestas and the Clintons, are sort of adjacent to the deep state, the swamp.
They are elements of the deep state, yeah.
Elements of, you could even say, the intelligence services that are involved in the business of subverting the United States in all sorts of ways. So they are. So it doesn't seem like all this is pretty much new to me, but it does seem like Elon wasn't really guilty of hyperbole.
No,
he's saying they are just an evil propaganda machine. Just from those little tidbits of information, seems like that's exactly what they are. A sort of forward-facing arm of the swamp.
Absolutely. And I'm very glad that a few of them are unemployed. And I imagine some more of them will be if Elon carries on targeting them, because he's clearly got a bone to pick. He lost them. They lost him a lot of money. And obviously that's going to cause a lot of frustration in Elon. And so if he continues, he could actually completely destroy the organization if he wants to. I hope he does.
Yeah.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast to the Lotus Eaters. And if you want to see more of the work we're doing, you can go on down to lotuseaters.com, where you can check out series like Lads Hour, as well as you can follow us on Twitter to see the rest of what we're doing on the website.